Hi folks, welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk about this Klein Tools 11-in-1 impact rated ratcheting screwdriver nut driver. You can see here the part number is 32500 HDRT. So I think the RT at the end is for ratcheting. The previous part number, we'll talk about that in a minute, or the 32500 HD, we'll go over that. So here you can see it here, it's just an impact 11-in-1. Take a look at the back real quick. You can see what the bit load out here is in the driver. You can freeze frame that if you want to take a look at it. Product is made in Taiwan. Okay, so before we look at that, I want to look at this 11-in-1. It came out last year, right? This guy came out about a year ago and was very popular, and it was based on the original 11-in-1 that Klein had. You can see it's 11-in-1 impact. Here's the traditional 11-in-1. So based on this guy, and the idea is that you have a lot of tools with you, 11 tools with you at any given time. You can pull it out, flip the bits around, and get access to different bits. In this case, you have 1/4 inch and number 2 Phillips, etc. But that's the idea. So Klein came out with this impact rated one that gave you the option of taking it and putting it in your impact driver, right? So now you could drive the bits in your impact, and that was really received well and a really nice tool. One of the things they changed and made different was the way this thing mounted in the center. But I went over this in a previous video. I'll have a link to that. You can check it out. But they came out with this tool, very well received. Well, just recently they came out with the same thing, but it's a ratcheting version. And you'll notice here that the only key difference you can see right away is this ring here that lets you put it in ratcheting or non-ratcheting mode. So if I flip it to the right, well, if I flip it to the left, it puts it in tightening mode. If I flip it to the right, 2 clicks, it now puts it in loosening mode. Okay, if I flip it to the center, it's fixed, like any standard screwdriver. Now, one thing about being in fixed mode is I noticed there's quite a bit of play in here. Not too crazy about that degree of play in the driver. So, but you know, odds are you're going to be using this in ratcheting mode anyhow. Another thing I'm not crazy about is, but this is the way most ratcheting screwdrivers are, is that when you turn this ring to the right, I think, you know, like right now I'm going to turn this to the right or clockwise, right? I'm expecting now to be able to turn fasteners clockwise. Well, it's not. It's set up to go counterclockwise, right? So if I take this guy, and you can see the little arrows there, if I click it 2 clicks to the left, you might think, oh, I'm going to start turning left. No, you go right. So that's the way this is set up. A lot of them are. Of course, I've noticed that the LTT screwdriver from Linus Tech Tips, that is a screwdriver where they've changed it so when you turn it right, the screwdriver is tightening to the right or clockwise. So I prefer it in that format. One of the reasons I like it that way is because when you're really, let's say you turn this thing right, okay, to the right, and you're really putting a lot of torque on a fastener, your hand naturally, okay, is going to want to spin this way, and it's going to spin that ring unless you reach back below the ring. So if you happen to bump this and you push it right, well, you're going to be fine fastening. That's why I like the idea of turning the ring in the direction that you plan on turning the handle, right? So if you're going to turn the handle right, have the ring positioned to the right. If you're going to turn the handle to the left, position this to the left so that when you're turning and your hands happen to bump this, you're just going to slide the ring. You're not going to slide the ring anywhere because it's going to be going in the same direction as the handle. So one thing to point out, I've noticed that Milwaukee, at least on their new stubby ratcheting screwdriver, they've incorporated that change into the screwdriver, and I think it would be a well-received change for all drivers out there. While we're looking at the handle here, you can see they've got the number in here, 32500 HDRT. And as I've said, it's an update to this original one that came out about a year ago. You can see it's the 32500 HD. Not a whole lot of difference. It's just a tad bit longer. I think even if you look at the handle, it's not a whole lot of difference there as well. I do notice that if we look at the end here, you can see that the lettering is in yellow. For those who haven't seen the screwdriver, I'm going to show it real quick here. You'll see we have a number 2 Phillips bit here at the tip of the screwdriver. And this is a flip bit style screwdriver. So what that means is if I flip this bit out, and you'll see it's engraved by the way. If I look here real quick, you'll see number 2 Phillips, number 1 Phillips in there. If I flip it around, I get the number 1 Phillips here on the other end. Okay. If I pull the bit out, now I have a 1/4 inch nut runner. Okay. You can see I've got a 1/4 inch screw here, put it on there. I can turn this 1/4 inch screw head. All right. So we put our bit back in there real quick, flip it around. So I have another flip here for this Robertson's bit or square head, right? And you can flip that around. You can see engraved, it's got number 1 and number 2 size Robertson or square head. Flip it around, there you go. I take this out. We have a 5/16 nut runner. So I can put it on this 5/16, turn this, right? Turn that around, right? And then of course I can pull this off, take this, put it right in the impact driver. And that's really what was new about this Klein tool, is that you had that ability to adapt it to your impact driver or drill. Either one would work. So pop these bits back in, and now of course there's more in the handle. I pull this out, flip it around. You can see here it's a little bit different than the original Klein 11-1. This is where it kind of deviates, other than the fact that it's impact rated. Right here you can see it's laser etched, and it has just standard 1/4 inch hex bits in here, right? So it happens to have a TORX T25 or number 25 there, so you could take any bit. I'm going to grab a random one here, or anything that's 1/4 inch hex, right? And I can just, there's a Phillips size one, I can pop it right in there, right? So you can put any bit in here, which makes this tool very versatile. So any bit you have, you could run in this driver. Okay, so again, I can flip this out, and now we have some options here, right? We have a 1/4 inch regular flat screwdriver bit. Okay, and if I flip it out, we have the smaller, should be 3/16, if we can see it there. Yeah, 3/16 bit. So I can put that out. All right. And of course, you know, you can take this out, same as the other end. We have a 1/4 inch. Right here, you can turn a 1/4 inch screw, okay, or nut. And then we pop this out, we have 3/8, and it's the same deal. You can take this guy and you can pop it on your impact. Again, that's what makes this tool different than a lot of other tools out there on the market. So you have all these things with you. If you have your screwdriver with you, you have all these components with you. So of course, obviously they've added the ratcheting feature to this driver, right? And that gives you a lot of flexibility. A lot of people prefer a ratcheting driver. One thing I like about it is that you can reach up here on it and you can turn like this if you'd like, right? So if you're to the point where you're, you know, loosening a fastener and you get to that point, or if you're tightening one, let's say, you can just kind of hand tighten it, you know, until you get it to the point where you have to actually apply some torque, and you can back up here on the handle and do that. So I like the fact that you can articulate this driver this way. So that makes it kind of unique. I mean, if you look at this Mega Pro I have, you'll see that, and this is the way a lot of them are, this piece up here is what adjusts your ratcheting. So you're not going to, you know, you can't do that spinning. There's no knurling up here. I mean, I can turn it up here on the shaft, but there's no knurling to do it. So that is something I like about this Klein, is that you have the ability to turn it in that mode. So that's nice. Now, what's the big difference here, right? Of course, it ratchets, but really what makes it different? Well, it's the shaft itself. And if you look at this 11-1 impact from last year, non-ratcheting, right? We compare it to this one. That's what it looks like down the shaft, right? And this one has a lot more points. I think it's about 12 points in there. And this one's just 6 points. All right, so with the redesign of the shaft, you'll see that this one's different than the original. Here we have a ring connector in this tool. If we look at the original shaft and the original 11-1 impact, you can see it's set up with a ball bearing or sort of a pendant style connection here, right here with this guy. So one thing to note about that is you can take the new handle, okay, and put the old ball bearing style 11-1 impact in here, and it will hold and retain, okay? But if you take it out, all right, and you take your new blade that you have inside and try to put it in the old non-ratcheting handle, it will fit in there, but it'll just want to fall out because there's no ring connector in there, right? So that's good to know. The other good thing to know about this tool is that they still have retained some of that, the features of the old one, in that it has a standard cullet here on the end, just like on an impact. So anything that's 1/4 inch will fit in here. So you can take this Malco flip bit, right? Put that in here, pull out this blade, and it'll still go back into the handle. So you can make that a part of this tool, right? And you can switch this end out if you want to. Let's say you wanted to put just a regular bit holder on there. That'll fit in there. Of course, it can be flipped out back into the handle. You can pop out this flip bit holder, and let's say you wanted to run a 1/4 inch socket. You can pop in this 1/4 inch adapter, take a 1/4 inch socket, put it on here, and you're turning it. So still has that flexibility and sort of a universal style design to it, which I really like. So that's a major difference, is they actually have changed the shaft design of the driver, and that's because they've incorporated it into their KNECT system. And that's this Klein Tools impact rated pass-through socket wrench set. Okay, the number on this one is 65300, if you can see that there, yeah. And you can see it's pass-through design. I'll show that here in a minute. If you freeze frame this, you can see all the different bit sizes over here. And you'll notice it's part of their Modbox system, which is kind of like their version of Milwaukee Packout. And you'll see they've coined this KNECT with a K in the name. And of course, it's a 6-inch ratchet. Flip it over here, you can see the back real quick. And you'll notice they got separate cases here. That's because they make larger ones. I'm going to be showing what's equivalent to a 1/4-inch set today, but they're going to make a whole set of different pass-through sockets. So if you take this guy here, you can open up this socket set, and there's a look at it. All the sockets are seated in there. You got this whole bit load out here. But the idea is that you could take this and pop it right into that 12-point. And now you have a ratcheting driver, okay? And since it's pass-through, okay, all the sockets are passed through. That means they're open in the center. The ratchet's open in the center. All right, so the idea is you take, this is a 9/16, for example. We take this guy, put it on here, all right, and take your 9/16. In this case, you can see that the screw can pass through. The screw can pass through the ratchet. So there's no need for a long socket, right? So you have this one socket that sort of replaces 2 sockets. Traditionally, you'd have, here's a 9/16 Milwaukee short socket, right? Here's a long version of it, 1/4-inch versions. So instead of having to carry both of these, for example, you're able to do it with just one socket, right? This one 9/16 guy. So this guy can replace both of these. That's the whole idea behind this. Now, the concept's nothing new, okay? Behind this set, I have a Craftsman set here, pass-through sockets. So the idea of pass-through is not a new idea. This has got some age on it. I'm probably at least 15 years old, this socket set. And you'll see that it's very similar. I can go into the Craftsman set. I can grab what's equivalent to a 1/4-inch ratchet. And you can see just a little bit shorter than the 6-inch Klein ratchet, but same concept. And I can go over here and grab my 9/16 socket, pop it in here. Okay, and you'll see how that's very similar to the Klein, right? Klein's 9/16, pop it right in there. Right? Same concept, similar look. Okay, one major difference here I've noticed though, if I take this 9/16, of course we passed it through the Klein, we try to pass it through the Craftsman, watch what happens. Gets caught, it doesn't quite make it through. So that's a good design on Klein's approach here, is they've made sure that you can pass through in that example, right? So it's one of the downfalls of this. Of course with the Craftsman, what I would do is I put that 9/16 back and I would go up to the 3/8, right? So I'd have to go to 9/16 in this 3/8 version, pop it in here, and of course then we can pass that through. I like the fact that Klein has taken that into account, but it also just reflects that, you know, this isn't standard, this pass-through, and that's one of the drawbacks of pass-through, right? So you'll see I'll put the Craftsman in there, the same 9/16 socket, just a little different in terms of size and diameter. So nicer though, this is larger. I think it's a better design, especially for 1/4-inch. One thing I like with this Klein Tools ratchet is that they've marked the on and off positions, right? So if you're putting a fastener on, you flip it this way. If you're taking a fastener off, you take it and you flip it to the off position. So that's the same way that Snap-on does it, same way Milwaukee Tools does. So I like the fact they've marked it on and off. So you can see you can take the screwdriver and put this 3-inch extension in there, right? Put your bit on. So let's say we'll go back to here, the 9/16, put that on here, right? There you go. Craftsman pass-through works the same way, right? They've got a handle here. Take your 3-inch, pop it in here, grab your 9/16, put it on the end. Okay, you can see the same concept. Another reason why I like that Craftsman pass-through is I had the ability to run this nut runner on all these sockets, right? So it was an advantage for that, but you can see same exact concept there, except this one's non-ratcheting, so it's really nice that Klein has added this ratcheting feature to this driver. What else is in this Modbox? Well, we've got some other sockets here offered. They have one thing here, again, like the Craftsman, where I can pop this in and turn it into a 1/4-inch, standard 1/4-inch ratchet. You can take this and turn any 1/4-inch socket, right? Turns it into a standard 1/4-inch ratchet. So I like the fact they've included that adapter. I think it's really a must-have for any pass-through ratcheting system. So they've got that adapter in there, which is nice. And the other part they have here is this guy, which allows you to adapt to an impact, right? Pop it in here, take that same 9/16 socket. We can, you know, push this guy in there. There you go, right? So that's the idea. And of course it's all pass through. So larger items can go right through there. See that? I'm still able to get up on this 9/16 nut. So Nice they've included that adapter in there. Very clever of Klein. Now, like I said about the drawbacks earlier of any sort of pass-through socket system is that it's not standard, right? Like this adapter, where would you find this if you needed to replace it? You know, odds are you're probably going to lose this before you break it, but either way, you would need a replacement whether you lose it or break it. And so, you know, this would you typically use an impact for 1/4 inch, and you can find these anywhere, right? I can find this guy anywhere. Of course, it mounts to a standard socket. That's what's nice about having something that's standard, and it's something I've noticed over the years is a drawback to this sort of pass-through ratcheting system is that it's not standard. You can't, you buy some adapter for your impact or something, you know, it's not standard, so it's not readily available. So if you have any replacement parts, you're going to maybe struggle to get those. But you can see this guy also adapts to a standard 1/4 inch ratchet. Of course, it has to push him from the backside. As you can see, I can't come in this way like I can on the Klein, but same concept. So, and I'm not saying that, I know Gear Wrench, other folks have this. I'm not saying it's just strictly Craftsman that had this. This is just one that I bought. Really like this set though. And the big idea is, like I said, you don't have to carry long sockets. This Craftsman was great because I bought it because it was low profile in a case. If you look at this case, it's super small, right? Super slim. It's not a traditional blow mold case. This thing, very portable. You always have it with you. That's the upside. You're not carrying a whole extra set of long sockets. All of these account as long sockets. Another thing I like about it is it comes in a really nice case. Now, you'll notice here that it's not high contrast. So they've got, it's sort of stamped in here on the plastic, the sizes. Same thing for the bits. Might be kind of hard to see, but right up in here you can see they got the bit sizes. There's 5/16 right there, you can see. But it's not high contrast, so it would be nice if the color, it was a different color here, black or white or whatever, so you could actually read it. But it is in the plastic. But what I do like about it is it's a nice case. You know, it's got a hinge that keeps its position, right? So it just doesn't fall back. And I think it'll stay that way. You'll notice this Craftsman set, you know, is kind of the same way. The hinge holds its spot. I mean, it'll fall down, but if I get it up here at the top, it holds its position. So it's a handy thing to have. And what I also like about it is that when you shut this, it automatically locks. Spring-loaded latch that locks itself, right? It's always an advantage over this style. Like you'll see this one I have from DeWalt, you got to slide this over and open it up, right? There's a chance that when you set this down and you go to pick it up, whatever you have in it might spill out because you forgot to lock it, right? Forgot to latch it over. Which way is locked? You know, sometimes it's hard to tell. So I like that. It's sort of reminiscent of the way Icon did their ratchet set. And I really think there may be some overlap here between these two, as you can pull this guy over, same thing. If you shut it, spring-loaded, latches itself. So I do like that case design. And the clip is here on the back. That's how it adapts. Got little markings here for measuring here on the back. That's pretty nice. But you'll see the Modbox adapter is here. So that's where it would clip into, I think, the side of the Modbox, which that makes it really handy if you're into the Klein Modbox. Another thing I should show here is that, of course, it's got this 1/4 inch adapter. Now, this is a regular 1/4 inch socket, but if you look down in here, if you can see down in there, there is a magnet down in there. And the idea is that you'll take that and you can drive any one of these 1/4 inch bits they have, right? So you can just put it here and pulls that bit down. Doesn't pass the magnetism down, but you know, it holds those bits. So, you know, that's a nice feature. So you could, again, the way this is designed, so you can put that on there, right? And you get your ratcheting capability built into it for driving 1/4 inch, right? And like I said earlier, if you wanted to move it over to your impact, pop it out, pop that in there, pop that on, there you go. So you're driving your 1/4 inch bits. So you buy into the system. I think it's pretty neat. I like the fact they're innovating there at Klein. I like the fact they have this ratcheting driver. Really, particularly like this part of the tool better in and of itself. The fact that you have a ratcheting screwdriver more so than the KNECT system. I think this is a great option that's going to really apply for certain folks that are in a situation where they want to be compact. They don't want to carry a lot of extra ratchets. Like, I think this set could work really well for people in some instances and replace something like this this small 1/4 inch set that I use with sockets. Some folks this will work great for. I think that, like I said, the drawback is you have sort of this, you know, non-standard, you know, impact adapter that you could lose. You know, that's the problem with any of these open socket or pass-through socket systems like this guy. You know, if you lose this, where are you going to find a replacement? I mean, I can buy a 3-inch extension anywhere, you know, or get it, you know, potentially warrantied out or something. But I can buy, you know, your regular 3-inch anywhere, whereas, you know, this would be something that you'd probably have to buy the whole set from Klein, I think, if you wanted to replace it. So that's one of the drawbacks with pass-through socket sets. So let's take this 1/4" bit out, pop it in here, okay? And I'm just going to test the back drag on this because it feels pretty good. And we're going to test it against this Mega Pro. You'll notice that I turn this, and I'm testing the back drag to see which one has more. You'll see the Mega Pro turns. If I turn the Klein, same thing. I'm going to kind of move it around here to make sure I'm not binding anywhere. So the back drag's pretty close. Mega Pro has less back drag, but this one isn't bad. That's one thing I can say about this is the back drag, I can just tell by feel, back drag feels really good. So it's not heavy on the back drag like a lot of tools are. But there you have it, folks. You know, let me know what you think of this in the comments. I'll have a link to all these products in the description. Let me know if it's something you're going to get, if there's something you prefer to use instead of this. You know, I'm interested in knowing what you guys think. And like I said, it comes in a really nice case. You know, it's a great concept, I think, from Klein. I can tell they're innovating. And I like the idea that they've made this interchangeable. I think it's really interesting. But with that said, please remember to like and subscribe. There's no cost to subscribing. All those actions help me continue to bring this content to you on this channel. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video.